Thank you for joining us on Newsmakers. I'm Fred Martino. If you're a regular viewer of Newsmakers, you know that WGVU Radio and Television is involved in a project with the Fetzer Institute, the Campaign for Love and Forgiveness. And along with public radio and television programming, there have been a number of community conversations talking about love and forgiveness and the great importance of that topic. We welcome back to Newsmakers today from one of our partners, Bethany Christian Services, Patrick Kamau, and he brings with us a person who was involved in a recent conversation, community conversation, Ida Nogby. She is a native of Liberia. Ida and Patrick, thank you very much for being with us today.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you for having us.
Patrick, to start off with, tell me a little about these community conversations, how these are set up, and in particular, perhaps the recent conversation Ida was involved in.
Yeah, in December, that's when we started our conversations. We recruited a number of people from Somalia, Somali, Sudan, and Sierra Leone, and also from Liberia. And we asked them whether they would like to participate in these 4 conversations of love and forgiveness. And the response was very good. And that's how we started the conversations. We made sure that the conversations took place on the same day to make sure that they'll be able to schedule or ask for permission to attend these conversations from their employees. And therefore, we did them in 1 month on Thursdays, starting from 5 to 1 p.m.
Okay, so a variety of different countries represented here, folks getting a chance to meet each other and hear about the need for love and forgiveness. Tell me about some of the common issues that folks are dealing with who have come to the United States from sometimes very difficult situations in other countries.
Yeah, well, this is the participants who came. Number one, all of them are refugees. And as you know, refugees come in this country to seek for refuge after having had war in their countries. And most of them actually ran away from war in their own countries, and then they went to another country, and that country also had civil war. Therefore, they went to first country, second country, and even some third countries, experiencing war and all those kind of issues. So most of them, when they come to the United States, they have stories of trauma, the experiences of war. Most of them were abused. Most of them lost their parents, their own brothers and sisters, and most of them have anger in them. They don't want to think about their country. They don't want to think about the people who forced them out of their native land. And you know how painful it is for somebody to push you out of your native land. And therefore they come with so many issues. And when they come to the United States, you know, they go through the process of adjusting to the United States. You know, United States, everything goes very fast. And maybe most of them are not used to this. So helping them to understand and even to assimilate, to adapt, to integrate in the American culture is also not easy. But most of them have been doing very well.
Okay. And Ida, you've been here for a few months. Tell me about your process of getting used to the United States and what your life has changed here. Tell us about that.
First of all, getting used to the United States, the American culture is very difficult because we're from Africa that is very, very warm. And here, your first experience is snow.
Yeah.
And it's very cold, very cold. I dislike snow at all, but my kids love it.
Okay.
And my first American food was pizza. I used to love pizza. Then I was getting big and big and big. And I calmed down.
Too much pizza.
Too much pizza. Yeah. You know, being here is very good.
Yeah.
You feel more comfortable.
Tell me about how your life has changed.
My life is very changed, very wonderful. Yeah. I never thought that I was going to have a smile on my face. Yeah.
What was life like in Liberia?
Very difficult, very tough.
What were some of the things that made it tough?
When I was born in my home with my mom and dad, where I grew up at the age of 9 years old. And then the Civil War broke up. My both parents were escaping from the Civil War, like leaving Liberia to go to the Ivory Coast, and my both parents were killed. I was 9 years old when I lost my parents. And then I traveled alone in the forest with different people who I don't know. And we got to the Ivory Coast. When we got there, I spent 15 years on a refugee camp, raising myself on my own, finding my own family to be with. I stay with you if you don't like treat me nicely. I will leave and go find another home for myself. 9 years old, can you imagine that?
No.
You have a 9-year-old baby, and then both parents just disappear, and then you have to struggle on your own.
Yeah.
My life was very miserable in Ivory Coast. I feel downhearted and so depressed. Too much depression in my life. You know, like each time I sit, it's like a television. Running, like coming along with your parents, and then your mom's dropped from shooting. And your dad went to save her, and they never came back.
Tell me how the community conversations, talking about some of the things that happened to you, hearing the stories of other people, how that has helped you.
Hearing the stories about other people, like
their challenges in refugee camps and in the countries where they lived, having to, as you did, having to leave their home country and come to the United States. How has that been helpful for you to hear those community conversations and participate in them yourself?
That was very helpful, because it's like a pain in your life, like your life is being threatened. You never have peace. And then the mercy of God just came down and said, I'm saving you today to take you to the United States for refuge.
Is that what helped you hold on? You mentioned you were in a refugee camp for 15 years, the faith in God and the belief that you would one day make it to a better place.
I never even thought of that. All I had in mind is that I can die anytime. Because if I leave and go on the outside, something happened to me, I have nobody to speak for me. So I can die anytime. I did not have happiness in the refugee camp at all. I lived there like a slave and struggled all my life.
In hearing the stories, and I imagine that there are other refugees who've talked about these experiences in the community conversations. Does that help to hear that you're not alone, that there are others who've been through situations that are very difficult?
Yes.
Patrick, let's talk about that and how that has been a role for starting the healing process and a chance for refugees, as you mentioned, from all over, from Sierra Leone, from Liberia, from the Sudan, getting a chance to meet each other and to get to know each other, to hear their stories and share their stories.
Yeah, it was, first of all, the first conversation when we met, it was an emotional time. And at one point, I asked myself, how am I going to handle these participants? Because most of them came with horrible stories. And when I remember when I introduced about love and forgiveness, there's this one lady who told me, Patrick, there's no way we can talk about love and forgiveness. Our people were killed. And some of them started to cry. It was very, very emotional. And what I did was kind of allowing them to tell the stories. And my work was only to listen to what they're saying, to validate their pain. And I found listening and validating their pain helped them even to share more. And you know, anytime that you have something in you and you share it out, you vent that anger, then you stabilize your emotions, and you're able even to listen to the other people and see you are not the only one.
Yes.
And so the first conversation was a time of healing and trying to see that you are not the only one who went through this. There are others who went through this, and helping them to connect with one another. This is what happened to me. This is what happened to me. What do we do now since that happened in the past? It was very helpful.
And Patrick, I know you do one-on-one counseling as well. Is this, for some of the people involved, a way to get them involved in other counseling, in other support services to help them acclimate to the United States?
Fred, let me tell you one thing that I witnessed with these conversations of love and forgiveness. And I really want to really thank the FESA Institute and WGVU for giving us this opportunity. One thing I noted is the moment we speak about love and forgiveness, and they talk about love and forgiveness, and they think about love and forgiveness, there's something that happens in their lives. There is an impact. There is a message. There is a change of attitude. There is a change of the way they think about themselves and even about others. And so love and forgiveness conversation is like a proactive program or a project that is going outside to the community. And the community, after realizing, wow, there is something good that can come out of these conversations, the people will start even to call seeking for one-on-one counseling services. There are some who even seek for group therapy. There are some who even call and say, come to our church and talk about love and forgiveness. Already there is a community of refugees from Burundi who have invited me to go and talk to them about love and forgiveness. And what strikes me most is, it is the men who are calling me, men. And in our conversations, the majority of the participants were women. So the word went out there, and possibly the men saw there is a change in the way they communicate with their wives. And now they are asking for love and forgiveness conversations. And that is our goal.
That's wonderful. Tell me, Ida, now that you've been through the conversation, as was described by Patrick, that this is not just about healing from the past, but it's also proactive. It's also getting you ready to deal with the future and a new life, a much
Yes.
better life in the United States. Tell me
Yes.
about your hopes and your dreams for your new life here.
Right now, my hope and my dreams is, I wish my dreams to come true. That I want to be a nurse to save lives and to be a counselor. You know, to express my, to express to my friends or family, my neighbors, to tell them if I see someone who is hurt, who was hurt and hurting, to tell them that being able to deal with your emotional feelings, it helps a lot.
Is this, do you think your desire to be someone who can help others, it comes from your experience from growing up in Liberia and in the refugee camps in the Ivory Coast? The Patrick services that Bethany offers, I know you also do connect refugees, not just with the basics, with housing and with food and guidance, counseling, but setting them on this path toward education, career. Let's talk about that.
Yeah, when refugees come in this country, they have many needs. Some of them need to know how to speak in English. Even basic things like housing, how to take a bus, how to go for grocery and so forth. So there are many things. But we help them to develop their educational, to help them to achieve the educational goals that maybe they want to achieve. And some of them will go to school. And right now, Bethany has so many programs that help the refugees to adjust with less stress. You know, anytime you move to another country, there is the adjustment issue, stress and anxiety and so forth. And so there are a number of these projects, programs that are there.
And this is a real commonality, isn't it? That a lot of the folks who are refugees who come to the United States, they have a great thirst for education.
Yes.
Oh yeah,
No,
most
she
of
says
them.
yes. Ida says yes.
I'm number one.
With the opportunity, they can do very well. With the opportunity, they can do very well. And when we were doing the love and forgiveness conversations, we also challenged them to challenge themselves. You have an opportunity here to go to school.
Yes.
Encourage your children to go to school. Encourage them to do their homework. And Bethany Christian Services started a program called Elimu. Elimu is a name in English, is education, whereby there are staff who go to schools, who talk with the teachers, with the parents, and even with the children, and help them to understand the American educational system. And this has been working very well.
That's wonderful. And Ida, you not only have to think about your own education and career, you mentioned you have children as well.
Yeah.
Tell me about the kids.
I have a girl and a boy. She's 7 and he's 5. Her name is Julie and Junior.
Okay.
They both are in school right now. She's in Helsingborg Christian. She's in first and he's in kindergarten. And she's going second next year and he's going first next year. I'm so excited about that. I'm really, really happy to see my kids being that little and being in school.
Yeah.
That is so, it's too much for me when I'm thinking about, being a little kids and all they have to do is get them ready in the morning, get them on the bus, go to school, get back home, take your homework, and hi mom, I love you. That's really, really amazing.
Yeah.
I love to see my kids like that. And I really want to encourage people on the outside. Like there might be a refugee like me too. If you come here with your kids, please give them the opportunity to go to school because education is the best future. that you can ever think about. Nothing past education except God.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
We're fortunate to have a lot of wonderful educational institutions in this area and a lot of generous people, as you know, Patrick, who help to provide new lives. And it's a great, great thing. Patrick, when we talk about the biggest needs for refugees, education, housing, food, support, counseling, are there some other things that folks might not be aware of, might not be, right out something that we would think of naturally?
Well, I think just to express love and concern and understanding and validating what the refugees have gone through.
Mm-hmm.
I wish somebody would, maybe when you meet a person from another country, just say, "Hi, how are you?" That means a lot to a refugee or to any immigrant. Basically, they need the basic needs: housing, food, transportation, education, and so forth. But even just the smile and saying hi, it helps a lot.
It's the message, and it needs to be on a regular basis. You are welcome here. We want you to be here.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And for example, now this kind of a program showing that the refugees are there and they are here trying to maybe to share the American dream. Mm-hmm. And they are working as hard as they can to achieve that. Even in employment, helping them to get employment, employers employing them and accepting them with the little English that they have and helping them to build their career goals, because most of them are asking, where can I work? I'm ready to work, I'm ready to work. Accepting them with the little knowledge they have about education and so forth.
Ida, you've participated, as I mentioned, in a community conversation. Do you intend to participate in more in the future?
Yes.
You will.
Mm-hmm.
Tell me what it was like compared to your expectation. Did it meet what you expected, or was it more difficult? Was it easier?
Well, at the starting point was difficult because there was so much to talk about. And, and then as time goes, feelings, the bad feelings start to go away. And then you were able to explain, express or tell somebody about what had happened to you in the past, how you were living in the past and today, and you kind of try to compare things together,
Being able to talk about those experiences in the past, how does that help you see your future?
That I would say again that really helpful. It is helpful because it's like, first of all, I'll talk about myself. Like my past, what happened to me, I know the person who did it that destroyed my family. And then, if I start thinking about that 15 minutes, I would just have a terrible migraine. Mm-hmm. And at that moment, I don't want to talk to my kids. I don't want to talk to anybody else because I'm very angry. And you know what that do to you is like, it's kind of getting you more lower and lower and down and down and down and down. You're not going to lift up. You're not going to achieve what you wish to achieve. Because each time you carry anger in your heart, you're not going to get, be able to do something for yourself.
So it helps you move past it.
Yeah.
Ida and Patrick, thank you for sharing the information about these community conversations. And as they continue, I wish you the best of luck
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you
Thank
at home
you.
for joining us as well. I'm Fred Martino. We'll see you next time on Newsmakers.